A billionaire came home and his maid begged him to shut up, and the reason behind that will leave you in shock. Hello, welcome and welcome back. Remember to hit the like button and subscribe for more uplifting stories. Now sit tight, relax and enjoy. The night had gone on too long. Kingsley Adebanjo had been stuck at one of those charity dinners his business partners insisted he attend. A hall filled with well-polished speeches, red wine that tasted more of dust than sweetness, and men who measured wealth in imported watches and the number of zeros in their donations. He had smiled, shaken hands, scribbled a fat check for an orphanage, and slipped out quietly before midnight. By the time his chauffeur dropped him in front of his glass-walled penthouse, Kingsley only wanted silence. His shoulders ached, his head throbbed. He longed for a stiff drink, maybe 10 minutes of peace before collapsing into the bed he hadn't touched in almost a week. The building was still alive outside, neon lights flickering across the night, vendors calling out the last of their roasted corn by the roadside, and the faint bass of a distant nightclub humming in the air. Inside, though, his penthouse should have been silent. It always was. But the moment Kingsley closed the door behind him, someone grabbed him. A hand clamped across his mouth. His body stiffened, ready to swing, ready to fight. He could feel his pulse hammering in his chest. "Don't make a sound," a voice whispered. A woman's voice, soft but trembling. He froze, listening. The voice was familiar. He twisted slightly, and when she finally pulled her hand away, he turned sharply. "Amaka," he hissed. The new maid, the one the agency had sent 2 weeks ago when the last one left without notice. He barely noticed her most days, dressed in her plain black uniform with the white apron tied neatly. Always quiet, always careful. But tonight her eyes were not quiet. They were red, glistening, filled with something like fear. "What are you doing in my house at this hour?" Kingsley whispered fiercely, tugging his tie loose. "Please," she said, her voice low but firm, "don't raise your voice." "Why shouldn't I?" His eyes narrowed, her chin trembled before she spoke. "Because your son is sleepwalking, and if you wake him the wrong way, you could lose him." For a moment, Kingsley thought he hadn't heard correctly. He stared at her. "My son?" "Yes." She looked down the hallway nervously. "It happens every night. About this time. I've been staying back to guide him." Tonight he almost reached the stairs. Kingsley felt the weight of her words sink in like lead. He hadn't been home enough to notice, not once. His boy, 7 years old, quiet, shy, was wandering at night and nobody had told him. Nobody but this maid, this stranger who had dared cover his mouth to protect the child. Kingsley's voice softened without him meaning it. I didn't know. No one else noticed," Amaka said, her hands tightening together. "I stayed back after my shift. I couldn't leave him like that." "You're not paid for that," he muttered. "I know," she replied simply. Her calmness cut him deeper than anger would have. For the first time in years, Kingsley realized his wealth hadn't bought him the one thing that mattered: presence in his son's life. And for the first time, he saw Amaka not as the maid, but as the woman who had been quietly carrying a secret he should have known first. Kingsley sank onto the hallway bench, his suit stiff against the leather cushion. He rubbed his forehead, trying to make sense of what Amaka had just told him. "Why didn't you come to me?" he asked, his tone lower now, almost pleading. She shook her head. "I didn't think it mattered to you." His chest tightened. The words stung. "I care about my son." "I believe that," Amaka said, her voice gentle. "But children don't feel belief. They feel your presence." Her words pierced him deeper than any boardroom insult. "Tonight," she continued, he walked past the stairwell, eyes wide open but still asleep. I stopped him. If I hadn't... She broke off, swallowing hard. I caught him just in time. Kingsley leaned back, staring at the ceiling. The image of his son standing at the edge of the staircase made his stomach churn. Amaka stepped closer. I know I shouldn't have touched you the way I did, covering your mouth like that. You were protecting my boy," he cut in. "I should thank you." She lowered her gaze. "I didn't do it for thanks." He looked at her properly now, young, mid-20s at most. Her eyes told a story of someone who had carried responsibility long before she entered this house. "You said something earlier," he said slowly, "about carrying this alone." "I'm used to it," she replied simply. Kingsley felt ashamed. He had thought money solved everything: nannies, private schools, drivers. Yet here was a woman who earned less in a month than he spent on a single dinner, and she was the one watching his son at midnight. He opened his mouth to ask more, but soft footsteps cut through the silence. Both of them turned. A small figure appeared at the end of the corridor, barefoot, eyes half closed. "Daddy," the boy murmured. Kingsley shot to his feet. "Junior." Amaka whispered quickly, "Walk slowly, don't startle him." Kingsley bent, opening his arms. "Come here, son." The boy stumbled forward straight into his embrace. "I was looking for you," Junior whispered. Kingsley's throat tightened. "I'm here now." And for the first time in a long time, he meant it. Kingsley held his son close, feeling the boy's tiny frame fit so easily into his arms. He hadn't realized how small Junior still was. Too many late flights, too many meetings, too many nights leaving him in the care of strangers. Junior clung to him as if afraid he would vanish again. Amaka stood a few steps back, her hands folded in front of her apron. She didn't move, didn't interrupt. She simply watched, her expression soft yet guarded, like she'd seen this moment forming for days. Kingsley rubbed his son's back gently. "How long has this been happening?" he asked without looking up. "Since I started here," Amaka answered quietly. 7 times, always after midnight, always pacing like he's looking for someone. Kingsley shut his eyes, pressing his cheek against Junior's head. The boy smelled faintly of cocoa butter and soap, a reminder of how innocent he still was. "He thinks I left him," Kingsley murmured. Amaka hesitated before speaking. "I think he just misses you." Kingsley looked up at her. "That's not the same." She didn't argue. She simply reached out to adjust a picture frame on the wall. A photo of Kingsley and Junior at the beach, taken years ago. The glass reflected the boy's tiny smile, a smile Kingsley hadn't seen in far too long. "You know," Amaka said, her voice low, "when I was a child, my mother worked nights. Long hours, sometimes 2 jobs. I would wait by the door just to hear her voice when she came back. I didn't need gifts. I just needed to know she was there." Kingsley listened, his arms tightening around his son. "Junior is still waiting at that door," she continued, "even if you don't see it." The weight of her words sank into him. He had been building wealth, chasing contracts, investing in tomorrow, while his son longed for something as simple as today. Junior stirred in his arms, whispering faintly, "Is it morning?" Kingsley kissed his forehead. "Not yet, son. Still night. You're safe." The boy sighed, his tiny fingers curling into his father's shirt. Amaka finally moved closer. "He was holding my hand before you came in," she said softly. "Sometimes that's the only thing that calms him." Kingsley looked at her with something between gratitude and guilt. "You've done more for him in 2 weeks than I have in months." "You don't need to say that," she replied. "I do. Because it's true." For a moment, the penthouse felt different. Not just like a house filled with silence and expensive furniture, but like a home. Fragile, imperfect, alive. Kingsley carried Junior back to his room. He tucked him under the blue covers, brushing his fingers through his son's hair until the boy's breathing evened. When he returned, Amaka was in the kitchen. 2 mugs sat on the counter. Steam rose from one, the faint smell of ginger drifting into the air. She poured hot water into the second mug without asking. "You need something warm," she said. Kingsley leaned against the counter, exhausted but strangely awake. "I'd like to keep you here." She didn't look up. That's your choice. Not just as a maid, he added. That made her pause. I need someone in this house who sees him the way you do, who actually cares about him. Finally, she turned. You don't need to hire love, sir. You just need to be present. Kingsley didn't argue. He only nodded. Then teach me. I want to learn. And for the first time in years, he wasn't making a business deal. He was making a promise. The next morning, sunlight spilled across the penthouse floor to ceiling windows. The city outside had already come alive, horns blaring, vendors shouting, the morning rush beating its rhythm. But inside, the house felt different. Kingsley sat at the dining table, still in his house clothes, watching Junior eat pancakes. He hadn't sat with him for breakfast in months. Do you like them? Kingsley asked. Junior's mouth was full, but he nodded enthusiastically. Banana with cinnamon, he mumbled. Kingsley looked toward the kitchen. Amaka glanced back briefly, the faintest smile touching her lips, before she returned to wiping the counter. Kingsley leaned closer to his son. From now on, I'll eat breakfast with you every morning. Junior looked up, eyes widening in disbelief. Even when you have work? Even then, Kingsley said firmly. The boy grinned, and Kingsley felt his chest warm in a way no business victory had ever given him. After breakfast, Amaka cleared the table while Kingsley helped Junior get ready for school. It was awkward at first, buttoning a shirt too slowly, fumbling with shoelaces. But Junior laughed at his clumsiness. That laugh was worth everything. When the driver arrived, Kingsley walked his son downstairs himself, holding his hand all the way to the car. Neighbors glanced curiously, unused to seeing the powerful businessman handling such simple fatherly duties. He didn't care. Back upstairs, Kingsley found Amaka folding laundry. She moved with quiet efficiency, like she had learned to live unnoticed. I want to change things, Kingsley said suddenly. She looked up, surprised. Change? I thought providing money was enough, that if I gave him everything, he wouldn't lack anything. But I was wrong. I want to be here, not just for show, for real. Amaka studied him for a long moment, then she nodded slowly. Then start small. Children remember patterns, not promises. Sit with him, listen to him. Let him see your face when he wakes and when he sleeps. Kingsley exhaled deeply. You speak like someone who's lived this. She hesitated. I have. He didn't press further, but the look in her eyes told him she carried scars he couldn't see. The day passed differently. Kingsley cancelled 2 meetings, surprising his secretary. He spent the afternoon working from home, his laptop open at the same table where his son usually did homework. The silence wasn't empty anymore. By evening, when Junior returned, Kingsley was still there. The boy froze in the doorway. Daddy, you didn't travel? Kingsley smiled. No, I'm staying. Junior ran into his arms, and Kingsley felt a bond stitching itself back together, fragile but real. And in the corner, Amaka watched silently, her heart full but cautious. 2 weeks passed. The penthouse no longer felt like a hotel suite. The laughter of a child echoed in the rooms again. The dining table bore crumbs and juice stains, evidence of real mornings. Kingsley learned the rhythm of bedtime stories, the clumsy art of tying shoelaces, the patience of waiting for a child's words instead of rushing to meetings. Amaka remained steady, always present, but never overstepping. She cooked, cleaned, guided gently when Kingsley fumbled. Sometimes, late at night, she would remind him of something small. Check his homework, or he wants to show you his drawing. And Kingsley realized how blind he had been before. One evening, after Junior had gone to bed, Kingsley found her at the door with her coat. Leaving already? He asked. She nodded. He's asleep. My work is done. He hesitated, then spoke. Amaka, thank you. She looked at him uncertain. For what? For saving him that night, for teaching me what it means to be present. She shook her head. You saved him yourself. I only kept watch until you came. He stepped closer. "No, you gave me back my son." The words hung heavy between them. She looked down, her voice soft. "He doesn't need a hero. He just needs his father." Kingsley felt those words settle in his heart like truth carved in stone. From the hallway, Junior's small voice called, "Daddy?" Kingsley turned instantly. "I'm here, son." He rushed back, leaving Amaka standing quietly by the door. She smiled faintly, then slipped into the night. That night, as Kingsley tucked Junior in, he whispered, "I'm not going anywhere. From now on, when you wake, I'll be here." Junior's small arms wrapped around his neck. "Promise?" Kingsley kissed his forehead. "Promise." And for the first time in a very long time, he felt like more than a man with wealth. He felt like a father. If this story moved you, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe for more inspiring and emotional journeys. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We treasure every message from you. Until we return, stay kind, stay hopeful, and stay with us.